All right, next up we have Team 4. It's my pleasure to introduce Team Canio. Canio.
Hi, we're Team Canio, and we're here to make walking safer. A lot of people think of falls as trivial. We trip, maybe get a bruise or a scratch, and then we move on. But for adults over 65, it is not that simple. Falls are actually the leading cause of injuries and injury death among this population because as we age, our bones become more fragile, our muscles weaken, and our reflexes become slower. So even a small fall can be very dangerous. Every year in the US, 1 in 4 older adults experience a fall, affecting 14 million people and causing 38,000 of them to die. And these falls come with enormous clinical consequences, as 3 million emergency department visits each year come from falls. And falls make patients suffer from broken bones, hip fractures, and head injuries, such as traumatic brain injuries, that can permanently affect the quality of life or even cause mortality. However, there is currently no clear solution to prevent future falls. So we present to you Canio, a low-cost system to monitor gait decline and prevent future falls in cane-dependent older adults. By measuring clinically relevant gait data and analyzing fall risk, Canio informs the users of high risk and prompts a timely clinical intervention before a fall happens. With this, Canio hopes to help the older adults maintain independence, reduce injury risk, and ultimately improve their quality of life. We designed Canio with 3 core features in mind. First is gait analysis. We measure 3 clinically relevant gait metrics such as cadence, velocity, and stride length. Second, our design allows for modular integration with existing canes, as well as simplistic UI for minimal cognitive load for the older users. Finally, our device is affordable with a price less than $100, which is significantly less than existing wearables or high-tech gait analysis tools.
Although Canio is not the only device to analyze gait, it is the only product that does so in a way that's both usable and affordable for our cane-dependent loved ones entering their golden years. Canio's user experience begins with a simple guide tutorial on our app that shows a user how to properly mount and operate the device. Once the device is mounted securely to the cane, the user presses a single button and the device is ready to go. From that moment on, Canio will continuously track key gait metrics and display them to the user through our intuitive UI. Most importantly, when Canio detects any significant changes to gait, it will alert the user, their caregivers, and physical therapists so that they can intervene early and prevent a potential fall from happening from before it happens. As you might imagine, so I guess among the many gait metrics, we chose cadence, walking speed, and stride length as for their clinical relevance and strong correlation with fall risk. As you might imagine, compared to healthy individuals, those at high risk of falling might exhibit slower cadence, decreased velocity, and short stuttering steps. Thus, we aim to track these 3 gait metrics over time and correlate them to users' risk of falling.
To translate these gait metrics into actionable fall risk and thus clinical actionable, something that's clinically actionable, we measure, to translate these metrics into clinically actionable insights, we use fall risk stratification by using literature-derived thresholds to define ranges for high, medium, and low risk. To walk you through kind of how our device has evolved over the course of this year, at the POC stage, we had a preliminary mount. We used an accelerometer, and we were only able to extract 2 key gait metrics. At the MVP stage, we made our device modular to fit canes of different diameters. We used a more robust sensor in IMU, and we were able to extract 3 gait metrics, and display this on a preliminary UI. And for our final prototype, we redesigned our enclosure and improved our cane attachment. We moved it to a compact PCB, and we tested and validated our algorithm across 5 subjects, used Amazon AWS for cloud storage, and we also were able to display this on a web app. Now, to walk you through how our device actually works. On the mechanical side, we 3D printed our enclosure and stored our circuitry and our battery inside the device. We also use a silicone backing and rubber bands to securely attach this device onto the cane so it doesn't slip while the user is walking.
So a little bit more about our algorithm and our data processing pipeline. So our raw data is derived from an IMU data that is from the accelerometer and the gyroscope. After that, in order to differentiate regions of the signal where the user is walking versus when they're not walking, we built a machine learning SVM classifier that differentiated with 98% accuracy. In order to further reduce drift from the accelerometer, we applied the Kalman filter, which removes gravity from the acceleration, and it also estimates distance and the amount and position. From this output, we were able to calculate our target gait metrics, including cadence, stride length, and walking speed. To demonstrate Caneo in action, here you see that as our user walks, every time the cane strikes the ground, there's a corresponding peak in the gyroscope that reflects the motion of the cane. You can also see as the user walks that there's an increase in distance. We also wanted a way to systematically develop and validate our algorithm. And to do this, we simulated a range of different fall risks over 5 subjects, each of them who conducted 27 trials with different gait patterns. Our user would walk along this 10-meter track with our device attached to their cane. And from here, ground truth values were also determined. Cadence was regulated by a metronome, stride length was standardized by markings on the ground, and walking speed changed as a function of cadence and stride length. And here are the results of our cane metrics and their respective accuracies from the previous experiment that I described. For cadence, we achieved 98.9% accuracy, and we did this by applying peak detection onto our gyroscope data to count the number of steps over time. For walking speed and stride length, we achieved 81.9% and 76.4% accuracy across 5 subjects. And speed was calculated by integrating across acceleration. Stride length was calculated by double integrating across acceleration. However, when we tailor the algorithm towards one specific subject, we were able to achieve over 92% accuracy for both of these metrics, which demonstrates the need for greater personalization as we move forward. Overall, our data shows that Caneo can reliably extract clinically relevant gait metrics from our cane-mounted sensor.
With our key gait metrics, cadence, stride length, and walking speed calculated, we used thresholding to assign individual risk values. Each value was then weighted according to their contribution to fall risk and combined into a single overall risk score that can be categorized as high, medium, or low. Our data analysis shows that at-risk individuals consistently exhibit lower cadence and walking speed compared to low-risk individuals, reflecting signs of gait decline. While stride length showed no significant difference, we hope to improve its sensitivity in future iterations by refining our algorithm. This data demonstrates that our algorithm and classification approach is able to capture clinically meaningful differences associated with fall risk. Our web app visualizes these insights in real time, displaying both current gait metrics as well as long-term trends. It also features a prominent color-coded fall risk notification system that alerts users to their current risk levels as well as any significant changes made over time. It also allows physical therapists to make actionable therapy insights, such as adjusting walking durations or modifying gait patterns. To summarize, we were able to successfully extract 3 clinically validated gait metrics and verify it across 5 subjects, differentiate gait changes across fall risk levels, build a modular IMU sensor prototype with a PCB enclosed, and develop an accessible, simplistic UI, allowing us to achieve our overall goal of diagnosing fall risk and informing fall prevention. Looking ahead, we have two key challenges and future plans for our work. First, natural differences in people's gait patterns make it difficult for us to apply a one-size-fits-all model. To address this, we hope to calibrate our system to individual users and validate it on larger, more diverse populations. Second, we see strong opportunities to expand our applications. Beyond fall risk monitoring, Canio could be used for rehabilitation and post-surgery physical therapy, as well as for neurological conditions like Parkinson's disease with tremors. Looking ahead to our 2-year projected timeline, in 2026, we hope to focus on app completion and benchmark tests, as well as implement limited real-world validation with Cane users. In 2027, we hope to prepare and submit our 510K, as well as launch clinical pilot studies. With Canio, fall prevention becomes proactive, empowering you and your loved ones to stay active and healthy. Our team is comprised of 5 bioengineering seniors at Penn, and we would like to acknowledge our professors, project manager, and clinical mentors. Thank you, and at this time, we will take any questions.
Great work. Just couple quick questions. Apologize. You mentioned, in the future, maybe have some individual calibration because, different gaits, different diverse populations. But just, how sensitive are your IMU readings to noise, terrain, or just irregular activities? Because I'm not saying grandma and grandpa are climbing Mount Everest, but, is it just meant to be used around the house at the mall, like just consistently? Because, when you were showing it, it was very, very regular walking, but just in general, how can you accommodate, just noise that might be there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, as you can see, the testing that we've done is mostly in like straight line setting in the laboratory, but we do have systems in place that can address like future iterations of what we are going to do. For example, if like the cane falls, or if the cane is like, if the user turns or anything, our like machine learning walking classification model should be able to kind of like negate those as like events that are not included. We can also do further testing on like different surfaces and like different elevations and stuff, but it is like a future direction that we want to keep in mind. And another improvement we could potentially make is just getting like more expensive sensor and upgrading our hardware in general. Yeah, so those are the future directions we're thinking of taking this.
Hi, so great project. How large is this device? Like, have you noticed that the device itself might actually impact the patient's ability to use their cane?
So the device is smaller than my hand. I forget like the exact length and
That's okay.
width, but it's like 10 centimeters height and 5 centimeter width. And it's really light because it's plastic. The enclosure is plastic, and the PCV is really small. So if we can just replace the battery, it would be even lighter.
Yeah, I think maybe 50% of the weight comes from the battery, and so by miniaturizing that in the future, we could really reduce any effect on gait that this device might cause.
Thank you. Thank you, Team Canio.